I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. Can't take it no more. Imagine 18 hours of blackout and you're telling people progress. Cost of living gone up 100%, yet you give public servant less. Mr. President, listen to the people. Search your soul and you will confess. I want you try surviving on the public face, then you're gonna know but stress. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. They don't drive no fear with the citizen. They may want the people speak out. Freedom of speech done gone inside the gutter. Knock off when you open your mouth. Discrimination in entertainment. And you're talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows. One set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup. Look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds.
Good morning. Well, it's afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ethan Carvin. I am here with my colleague Rovaldo Beerval. We also have joining us Mr. Kibre Copeland and Selena. See, that's what her name is, so I'll work with that for now. And we are young members of the APNU. For those of you who are asking, where is Mark? Mark is somewhere, but we're not studying that. We are here today to just share a bit about you, about our plans heading into the last few days. Today, I believe, is the 23rd of August, and we just have a few more days till the big day when you all come out and you put your vote by the X for the palm, that is for APNU, under, as you can see right behind us, the only government that's going to put you first. So we're going to be going and diving into our manifesto for a bit. But before we get that, earlier today, myself and Ravali, we were at a program hosted by the Guyana National Youth Council in relation to voter education and, talking to the youth about why they should vote. And I think one of the more key things that stood out to me is that members of all the political parties were invited, to be quite honest. But there was a no show by the People's Progressive Party, which I find is very concerning about a party who claims to have a lot of youths and claim to be very youth centered. They had a very small forum, but I think it was really impactful to hear the ideas and the thoughts shared. But Rivaldo, you were there. There was no show. There were no show. So I'm not sure what exactly they are saying, but I hope the youths are going to be taking note of where their priorities lie. As you would know today we are heading down to Hope Town Berbice for the Berbice Rally Part 2. And we are going to be there, come out and hear from our leader, come out and hear from our young, vibrant members and our seasoned candidates heading into this election season. But what do you think about that, Rovaldo? What do you think about the fact that they did not send any youth representatives to a youth-based forum?
It basically shows where they stand as it relates to the PDP. It basically shows that they have no interest as it relates to youth participation in politics, and they don't know the importance of youths in the political arena. We have a stake in this political landscape, and they don't recognize that.
And it's really concerning. I mean, I don't know if Kip, we heard us earlier, but we were talking about there was a forum earlier today where they were inviting all members of political parties, and there was a no show by the current government, and they did not send at least not one person to attend the meeting. And I think there were a lot of youths looking forward to really hear about the plans that the government has for them. And they were not able to be there. And I don't know how a party who claims that they're for the youths and they're all about the youths. You have a youth forum hosted by a political organization, more or less an objective organization. And there was no show, what are your thoughts on that, Kiwi?
Well, it goes back to, you remember when we had this meeting at Sweet Point, Orange Walk? and the news carried a story saying that Aubrey Norton no show, and the young people had to pick up the slack. We know the reality of that. We have young people who are competent enough to speak on behalf of our party, who can project our policies. Unfortunately, the PPP doesn't have that. The PPP is a party that has young people as followers. They utilize them, of course, to showcase some level of strength or some facade. But we know the reality is, it's just a few people at the top who calls all the shots. And if they can't deliver the message, nobody can. So unfortunately, they can't send any young person. And we of course who are competent, and the other organizations who might not be as big as the PvP or even the APNU, who are able to send people. That says a lot about a government who wants to go back into power.
And even I want to make a point that
Mm-hmm.
they were the only major political party without any representatives at that forum.
Yup. They were not there. They had members from WIN, you had members from Foreign Guyana Movement, you had members from the AFC that were there as well. And obviously, myself, Rovaldo, and Mr. Ubra Jarain, we were there representing our party in full support. But this is just, and I mean, it's 9 days away from elections, and look at where their priority lies. They're only concerned projecting and showing these big imaginary crowd of support, but it's just a set of people who are fearful and who are concerned. And that is why we have this document here, which I am convinced will make an impact in the lives of the Guyanese people. And for those of you who may not have not gotten an opportunity to read the manifesto, it's available. You can check our pages. You could go online at PNCR Reform. The manifesto is available here. And if you do all that and you still can't find it, feel free to message myself, Rovaldo, Kibwe, or even Mark, wherever he is currently. But that's where we want to get into. So, I mean, Kibwe, there has been a big groundbreaking announcement made recently by our leader. And I want to hear your view about that announcement in relation to providing more youths or providing the Guyanese people 18 years and above with house lot allocation free of cost. Right?
Yes, I didn't get that message. I didn't get that. Sorry.
No, I was just asking you to tell us what are your thoughts about the house lot, free house lots for 18 years, persons 18 years and older making no more, making less than 400,000 a month. What are your thoughts as a young
I,
person?
I think at this point in time, that's what Guyanese deserve and need. Ghana, 83,000 square miles. We are islands that we share a Caribbean historical status with. And with the rich resource of oil, adding to all the other resources that we have, like bauxite, timber, gold, etc., we can afford it. And I think every Guyanese is deserving, especially once they're under that bracket of $400,000 and they've reached the age of 18. There's always this talk that you start life until you're 20 something. You at 18 years old, you would have started life. You're an adult, and just as you're an adult, you're also deserving of your own comfort, your own roof over your head. And the APNU, of course, would have made this all the time. We know that our leader is a forward-thinking person. That's a track record of the APNU, track record of the PNC as well. And this plan, of course, is going to give people that level of groundness. It can give something that they deserve, a home, to make there. There's a whole concept that in every society, people deserve shelter, they deserve food, they deserve clothing, and of course, they deserve a society that they can live and be themselves, progress and however. And we are going to do our bit as the next government after the 1st of September to make sure that persons have that critical thing, which is a home, a resting place, a place to call home. There are a lot of people who are still living with their parents, some moving from rent house to rent house. And it has been difficult over the years. There are young people who come down who start a life in Georgetown or somewhere in parts in Guyana, and they don't have no place to board. So I think it is something that will benefit our young people. Most times when people hear these kind of proposals, they think, well, yeah, even though they said 18 and up, it's basically for persons who are, maybe 35 or 25. No, just as we would put it out here, from your 18 years old, from you getting a salary that's under $400,000, you are eligible. You're eligible to get your own house lot and added to that our turnkey rent to own policy, whereby you pay rent. We will build a home, you pay rent, and that rent, when it accumulates the cost of that home is yours. We make it easier for people. Instead of having to go and then have to go and get a mortgage or a loan to start putting on your foundation and build a house, which might take 5, 10 years, we are going to we're going to fast track that process. Give you
Mm-hmm.
a house with a key. Once you can afford that rent, you pay that rent, and at the end of that rent, you own that property. And that's what we're about. We're about making sure people can get something real, something with real value, trying to take me all those red tapes. APN is about
Mm-hmm.
people centered this. We're all about how we can help the people, how we can put
Mm-hmm.
resources directly into the pockets and hands of our guides.
Correct. And thank you so much for that contribution, Kipri. And it is important that we emphasize that we want Guyana to get better, and it requires not just giving out these payouts, as some people would call it, but it also requires an effective strategy that focuses on empowering the people of Guyana, ensuring. And I was in the interior yesterday for discipline service votes, observing at some of the regions in our hinterland areas. And while traveling the the jungle, as they would call it, it struck me the amount of beautiful untouched land that we have in our country. And all it really requires is for us to take a little bit more proactive and deliberate attempt to ensure that we could allow our citizens to benefit. And that requires bridging the country and making it more closer than further. And we plan to do these things, not just giving out the houses and ensuring that every Guyanese has a house lot, but ensuring that the Guyanese have proper infrastructure so that they could be able to access these house lots. And when you look at our manifesto, you can see it was a well thought plan from the beginning to the end, not just a showpiece to come up and present to you now during the height of political season, but it is something that we have taken our time, we have observed, we've been speaking to the people ever since our leader has been elected into office. And these are just the results of when you start to pay attention to the people in society. So I know you're on your way up to Burbies. We're going to be joining you shortly after we finish here. But is there anything you would like to say in closing?
Yes, in closing, I wanted to touch exactly where you stop. Our aim is not just to just give you a piece of land somewhere in the bush until you build. We're talking about building communities. When you give you a key to a house, it's going to be in a community that has paved roads, that has a plan for play parks, it's going to have recreational spaces, will have schools close by, and hospital, either health centers or hospital nearby. It's about creating communities more than just creating spaces for people to live. And that's what we've had over the years, whereby you get a whole area, it takes 30 years to develop, but you have your house there. You have to go so far to get some of the normal amenities or utilities. We are about building communities, building places whereby people can actually live, move and ready. So for me, we have the only people centered and the best manifesto, the best plan that was not crafted just by us, but by the people we've interacted over the years that we've been moving on the ground. And it's been more than 4 years, more than 7 years. We've communicated with people, we've heard their concerns, we've heard their suggestions, and that we've put together with the experts, and we've made these plans that we will implement after the 1st of September. So the APNU is the only party, I'm sure and positive, that has a people-centered plan and will act upon a plan after we gain government.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gabriel. We're going to see you shortly at the rally, and we hope to see our viewers and our listeners. We hope you take some time to check us out. If you cannot make it, it's going to be streamed live on the page, so don't worry. And part of our manifesto, Rivaldo. Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you, Gabriel, so much. We're going to see
All
you
right,
later. Thank you for coming on.
my
But a
pleasure.
part of our manifesto is that we want to ensure not just there's access to opportunities, but we want to ensure that there's equality and there's inclusion in all of the programs that we do. And part of what we have put forward is that we are going to ensure that the Guyana that we are in is a Guyana where all the Guyanese can benefit. So that also speaks to what we plan to do in relation to the women, what we plan to do in relation to persons who suffer from disabilities, and these are the things we want to ensure that all of the Guyanese, regardless of which side you are, of where in Guyana you are, that you could enjoy the Guyana that we live in. And more specifically, to the youths, I have some specific points I would like to bring out from our manifesto. And the core of our youth policy really focuses on increasing opportunities and freedoms. We want to ensure that the youths have more opportunities and that they are free to pursue whatever it is they want to do. At the forum earlier today, I was making the point to the group that the Guyana we want to see does not just require us acting now in the height of election season and doing things again, political mileage and these stuff. But the Guyana that we're in also requires us to ensure that we can empower our youths. And one of the things that we have to realize that they're not just the at-risk youth that we tend to hear about also, but they're the youths who are differently able. They're the youths who have disabilities. They're the youths who are suffering from different issues. And we want to ensure that these youths have an equal opportunity and they can enjoy the Guyana just as much as anybody else is to enjoy it. And those have been part of our platforms. We've even been advocating for recently in relation to GCOM, in relation to all of these polling stations that are on second story buildings, in relation to building codes in Guyana, whereby you have no wheelchair access in certain public offices and these kind of things. And that is our focus, ensuring that we not just increase the opportunities, but we ensure that the accessibility is the same for all. And those are one of the pillars of our manifesto because we have it here. And I'll just read for the persons who haven't had the opportunity because our manifesto says here that the diversity compels us to realize that there are different young people and will need different resources to achieve their full potential. As such, we will create several pathways for both personal development and for career and professional development. And this is what we are all about. We're all about ensuring that our Guyana and the citizens of Guyana can benefit not just one set of people, not just one group of people. And what we are offering is real change. We are offering the Guyanese people real change. We're offering the Guyanese people real substantive things that could benefit us. Meanwhile, on the other end, this is what they're offering. I'm gonna try to get up this clip. Let me see. I don't know if the operator can help me. I have a clip here and I want to get it up there so that the people can be able to see. Okay, he's not getting the clip. But basically, in the clip that I was going to show you was that a young man talking to his other colleague about receiving a package and that they're going to be voting for the cup. And within the package is a shirt, PP shirt, of course. And within that PP shirt, there is a little bit of change inside. I think it's close to like $20,000, $30,000. And that's what they're offering in exchange for support. Meanwhile, we're offering to the removal of all barriers to services. So we're looking to invest in a National Youth Council, a National Youth Investment Fund, whereby we can not just support youth businesses, but we can empower them with soft loans and grants. Also, we're looking to decrease the high threshold in relation to accessing particular services such as loans, such as funding through the banks and these financial institutions. Because too often, if you don't have a big business model, people are not paying attention to you. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great initiative. But I want to go back to the point that you made. We're trying to pull up the video with the people and what they receive. And that is the type of mindset that this current regime wants us to have. That they want us to have a dependency mindset. As long as we can be dependent on them, they can dictate what they can and cannot do for us as youth.
Correct.
But I say to you, under an APNU government, the policies that we have crafted is suited for every youth, whether you're in the entertainment industry, whether you want to further your studies, whether you want to apply a trade, learn a trade. There are policies that were crafted on the basis of data and data that reflect how these policies can be implemented strategically and effectively to benefit the youth of this country.
Correct. And you know, one of those policies that we have is to ensure that we have a consultative mechanism in relation to hearing the voices of youth. Because as the forum earlier, that was a key issue that was brought out. You know, that a lot of youths are not being included, a lot of youths are not being involved. You know, we have a youth parliament mechanism under the auspices of the parliament office. But the question is, how effective has that mechanism been after 10 years in relating to getting youth's voices out there? I mean, yes, it's good. It's an empowering experience. I too benefited from that in 2015 when they have now started out. But it's about the including youths in the spaces where their voices are not just heard, but their voices are now being translated into the decisions that we've been making. And that is a part of our manifesto. We're going to ensure that we're going to be always listening and consulting with the youth so that every single decision that is being made in our country will have that youth participation and that youth inclusion, which is not just going and hosting public meetings and town hall, but it's about actually listening to what the youths are saying and then incorporating it. And a part of that has already been the benefit of our manifesto. As I mentioned earlier, we will invest in a national youth fund, and this youth fund will be used to improve the access to the young people who may not have been able to build up a proper credit history over the years. Because let's be real, financial literacy in this part of the world is not something that is paid a lot of attention on. We see persons coming out in their own little small subsets and working on it, but it requires an approach from the government level that will trickle down onto the average population. And through our National Youth Investment Fund, we will be able to create an infrastructure for the brilliant youths that we have who are innovators, who are creators, who are looking to push the boundaries and the barriers of today's society. And they want to get into the cutting edge technology, whether it's AI, whether it's ICT training, financial management, on all these various aspects that we see now arising, our data protection and cybersecurity and the cyberspace, and all these things that we're seeing now getting more attention on the international stage. We can now allow our youths to be able to access the funds, and they don't have to go through the rigors of the banking system and having to have 6 months of money or salaries in the bank, but they can have an idea and they can see that idea come to fruition. And you don't need to be a friends or a family or a favorite to benefit from that.
You know, again, that shows that we cater for the youth of this country and we value their expertise in whichever field they may be in.
Correct, correct. And more importantly, another aspect or specific initiative that we intend to really follow through is ensuring that we can fast track special mining permits to youths in the various mining communities, such as the hinterland regions, Region 1, Region 7, Region 9, you know, in these various areas where you have a young population who are fighting to get money, because that's reality. Everybody who is hustling, everybody's trying to build a better life, everybody wants to live better, but it doesn't matter how hard you work if the system that you're working in is not catering to you. You're going to need to work at 10 just to get what you could have gotten when you worked at 1. And by providing more youths with mining permits, it now encourages our youths in the indigenous regions who may not be as eager to follow the traditional schooling sectors or may not want to go to tertiary institutions, but they have competency, they have skills, and they have things that they could be able to use. We will ensure that these youths are able to benefit from these special mining permits and fast tracking their permits to allow them to operate and allow them to be able to make their own money so they don't need to wait for the government to promise them a cash grant or to wait for the government to make a payout in order for them to enjoy their life.
And that is a vision I stand with and a vision that I want to support. You made the point about people in the hinterland. You know, what applies or what may appeal for them in the hinterland may not appeal for us in the coastland. And
And
mining is prevalent in the
mm,
hinterland.
mhm.
So you would expect young people wanting to be a part of the mining sector.
Correct.
Hence the plan
And
by
and more importantly too, in those hinterland regions, you know, things are a bit more expensive, right? the reality is they import a lot of things from Central Georgetown into those regions. So there's a higher cost attached. So 100,000 here in town is not the same 100,000 in those communities.
And Eden, building on that point, let us stick to mine. Also, what I wanted to point out is that we will be providing soft loans for young people, whether it is mining or any other business initiative that they have in mind, because we know how hard it is to access funds at an early age to do a business, to have a business started. So whether it is mining, whether it is farming, we have you catered for. We will issue soft loans to you with probably little to no interest rates, so that you can develop your businesses and you can have great returns.
Correct. And with all of that too, imagine now with all of what we just said, you're also receiving a free house lot. That
Correct.
keeps the money and it gives you more disposable income because now you have to send an application, pray that you get through, or pay your money to somebody at the ministry who will fast track your application. After you finish fast track your application, you then got to pay for the application to go through. Then you gotta pay for the house lot. You gotta pay for everything. And by the time you finish, I know about individuals who took loans from the bank to build. And the thing is, when the bank gives you the loan and your money is approved by the bank, once they start paying out that money to you, shortly after that, you have to start making back your installments.
Correct.
And the reality is, if you take a loan today, with the amount of time that it takes between the allocation and it takes between you getting the actual house lot and being able to start building, imagine now you get a house lot in the middle of the bush, as a lot of people have been complaining. There's no running water, there's no electricity, and you are now forced to pay for something that you cannot benefit from. So imagine a Guyana where we are showing you that we are not just going to be giving you cash grants, which we will continue to be giving. We're going to be giving them at a faster rate and in a more impactful way, and we're going to spread it out. We're going to be providing $120,000 in child care, $50,000 for youths who are going to university and tertiary education. We're going to be giving pensioners $100,000. No, we're going to be increasing the tax roll to 400,000. We're going to be giving you 200,000 minimum pension wage. And then imagine now, with all of that, you get a free house lot. It's an easier Guyana for you. It is a better Guyana. It is a Guyana that puts you first.
And you know,
But wait. Before we continue, I see we have two guests, so let's incorporate them into the conversation. We have Elson and we have Selena in the conversation. These are two candidates, very young, just like myself and Rovaldo, and they're going to be a part of the discourse. So I'm going to give Selena the opportunity to weigh in. I know we've been talking for a bit, and I can see she's heading to Burabis because we're all heading to Burabis right now, but not because we have campaign obligations. That doesn't mean we can't spend time talking with the people. We're showing that we're actually better than the PPP who did not show up to the youth forum held by the Guyana National Youth Council earlier this morning for whatever reason. We are there to show up. So over to you, Selena.
you know,
Selena.
Hi, hello.
Hi, good
You guys
day.
hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear. We're not seeing
we
you,
want to
but
see
we're
you.
hearing you.
Yes. Can you please repeat the question?
Well, we were just asking you to weigh in a little bit. We were talking about some of the points that we have in our manifesto. So probably this could be an opportunity for you to share one of the parts of the manifesto that you think really stand out to you.
Well, first of all, the APNU manifesto is built on the vision of fairness, opportunity, and development for all Guyanese. It focuses on improving the quality of life by addressing key issues such as healthcare, job opportunity, infrastructure. Overall, the APNU manifesto will highlight a people centered development approach aimed at building a stronger and united Guyana.
All right. Selena, as a youth, is she there or she's
And
gone?
one, sorry, I'm barely hearing you.
I was going to ask you, as a youth, what policy or which part of the manifesto stands out to you? I know you're a qualified young woman, and you hear me,
Okay.
Selena?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Well, one of the
Yes.
policy that stands out for me is that the APNU will provide students from UG Technical Institute a monthly stipend of at least 1,000 in our first year in office. That's one of the policy that stands out to me. Another policy is that we will pay childcare allowance for each child up to 16 years of at least 120,000 in two installments in June and in December, regardless of whether their parents or your parents are in a tax system or not.
Great. And I love those 2 points that you made. Even, to make education free, which we did, or which this party did, prior to 1994 when the PPP came to office and they abolished free education at the tertiary institutions. To make education free and to put the resources necessary for students to succeed is two different things. Because you can't make education free and the students they don't have the resources to succeed. So when you
Yes.
give them the resources, whether it is monetary or in any other form, you are giving them the tools to achieve their goals. And that is what stands out to me.
I agree.
Yes.
Elson, we have you there. We would love for you to weigh in a little bit as well.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, guys. I think this is such an important discussion because, of course, young people are the majority of the voting population, and this is going to be critical for the future of young people as much as for the future of the country as a whole. It's a critical election. I love that Selena brought up the student stipend because to me I think gives us an opportunity to kind of explain the way that the APNU has gone about coming to these different ideas and the way that differs from the way the PUP has approached developing their ideas. That student stipend came out of a discussion that we had with University of Guyana Student Society Council representatives and discussion we had with students on campus who mentioned that there's a lot of costs that are involved in attending the University of Guyana, even if it's something as simple as internet, transportation costs, sometimes additional costs for stationery supplies, books, etc. And that a student stipend would really go a long way towards helping them to be able to succeed at the university. But also, that is something that is common in many countries. In Northern Europe, even in the US, there are student stipends that are available. So, what we are doing is bringing a policy that people here have said that they need and which will help them so much. Now, a lot of people, unfortunately, don't finish the University of Guyana, but if they had a student stipend to help them, to give them that support, then you would expect more people to be able to finish the University of Guyana within the 4-year period. That is good for the students, but it is also good for the nation. The policies we put in place, the policies we develop by talking to young people about their real needs, and policies that are good for our country. Now, my friend Rivaldo would have mentioned that the PVP's policies are focused on dependency, putting you in a state of dependency. But if we're giving you money to help you to get an education so you can get a good job, then that is the opposite of a policy of dependency. That is a policy of upliftment. And so that theme runs across our entire manifesto and all of our policies. They are policies of upliftment. And as a result, we are looking not just to assist students at the University of Guyana, but if people want to go and learn electrical engineering, learn to be a plumber, learn to be a carpenter, go and do their maths and English again if you weren't as successful as you would have liked at CSEC, those are all programs for which we will provide a student stipend. We, of course, must remember that the PPP closed down the night schools that were established to help people who needed another opportunity to get their qualifications, CSEC qualifications. So we're going in the other direction. Not only will we provide access to training across Guyana, we will provide you the support you need to be able to be successful.
And Elson, that's really important. I would just like to shift gears since we're talking about education. Is that a part of our education policy, and Elson alluded to it as well, is just it's not just ensuring that we're giving the students the money to make their life a little bit easier in relation. And that is the key thing I want people to take away from our manifesto. It is not just small patchwork we see. Like they have a bad road, we fix the road, we patch it, and then we put people to drive because our manifesto refers to a holistic plan that is interlocking with each part. So we're not just saying we're going to give you $50,000 to go to school. We are also going to revamp the education sector as well to ensure, and I'll read it because people feel that I'm talking off my head, and this is a part of the manifesto. We're going to invest in updating school curricula to include content on life skills, civics, multicultural studies, and entrepreneurship. And a lot of people have been complaining that hey, you're just going to school, they're teaching you algebra and these things. We're looking to not just give you more money and make life better, but we're going to give you opportunities as well so that you can make your own life better. I heard a minister from the PPP, and probably it's the last time she's going to be referred to a minister because we're going to win this election. But I heard them say that how under their administration, people are now seeing 500,000 and $1 million for the first time in their life. And to me, it gave me a great sense of sadness that took me when I heard those statements. Because what she was not saying is that it is only through the PPP that you're gonna ever see $500,000 in your life. It is only true, and that could never be the case when you're trying to provide a better life for all Guyanese. It means that regardless of whether you're in power or not, you are supposed to be empowering and ensuring the population could not just rely on you because that is the government's duty to assist the public. There's a social contract whereby people give up certain of their freedoms and certain rights in order for good governance and social order and peace. And it cannot be that only under your administration people could now get in to see what your own people call pocket change. Because if somebody could make 40 to $50 million and refer to it as pocket change, then how are you now promoting 500,000 and $1 million in a small contract being beneficial? We are looking at this thing in a holistic sense. That is why we want to update the curriculum to ensure that civics, life skills, multicultural studies, entrepreneurship, and things in relation to financial literacy are done from since the very formative stages in learning. We are looking to implement more digital transformation strategy that we're going to impact and we're going to include digital learning, educational technology, the value and the benefit of artificial intelligence to enhance the pedigree of persons and individuals that we are sending out into the society. We want to also, in relation to education, train more teachers and provide better incentives so that if there are more teachers, we can reduce the big classes that are there. Because we know that the teachers in our country, it's a sore issue in relation to how they're being treated and into relation to, more importantly, the brain drain of the amount of individuals that are skilled and trained that are leaving the country at a high rate. And we want to ensure that the teachers have better skills. We want to ensure that the school and the education programs we have, that there are more guidance counselors integrated into the system. We want to ensure that we respond to the educational needs of persons with disabilities that I have alluded to earlier, to ensure that regardless of their situation or whatever may be affecting them, that they are still able to benefit from a normal life as Guyanese. We want to ensure that we upgrade housing in relation to the teachers in the hinterland region. We also want to respond to the specific educational needs of the indigenous people. We want to provide 2 nutritious meals a day, not that nonsense and that garbage days we giving you. Proper, good food. And when you look at this in the holistic sense, we are not just attacking it from the pockets of the people, but we're also looking to improve the mind, the kind of persons and the kind of citizens that we are now producing and sending out there to represent us as Guyanese. And all of what I've just said is not just ideas in my head. These are things that are reduced into our manifesto, and we want more persons to pay attention to these things. And another part, I'm going to read it because I want you to get it. And our manifesto is promising that in accordance with the UN Sustainable Development Goal 4.2, we want to ensure that girls and boys have access to quality early childhood development, care, and pre-primary education so they are ready for the primary education. The reality is that the majority of the Guyanese population is youth. And within that Guyanese population that is youth, majority of them are the working class. So you have individuals starting up a family, mommy is working, daddy is working. So there's not a lot of emphasis on ensuring that the children receive from these houses receive proper formative learning. And most time when the parents, mommy and daddy are working, the only time that they are going to actively pay attention to the quality of education, it's coming down to common entrance or coming closer to CSEC or probably when they now reaching the state of university. And we want to eradicate that by ensuring that the Guyanese benefit from quality education all the way down from pre-nursery straight into tertiary. So the free education at the tertiary level, to me, it really just ensures that we keep that continuity of more educated persons because you find that by time persons leave CSEC, they're just thinking about getting a job. They're just thinking about getting a house. They're just thinking about how they're going to survive. But look no further, youths. Look no further, Guyana. We are providing a well thought out system that will take care of you as we have in our manifesto from the womb straight to the tomb to ensure that you have a proper life. Elson?
Well, you mentioned, I think, a lot of interesting points. I'm saddened to hear someone say this is the first time they get money in 500,000 or a million. Now, first thing, of course, we want to reassure people that we will continue to provide small contracts across Guyana. But, it is interesting to me that we seem to forget that PPP was in power for, was it 23 years? And
Yep.
this is the first. The coalition only had a few budgets to pass before we went right back into elections. And this is the first time people are able to get money in their hand. It is absolutely tragic. And it really shows the legacy of the PUP. Rivaldo and I were in Region 9. And when we went into Region 9, we saw there was so much economic potential. It boggles the mind that given that kind of resource, given those resources in that region, that the PP wasn't able to develop the country over that 23 years. They've even talked about doing the road from Lethem to Georgetown. I can tell you, having traversed the road, it's
Mhm.
unclear to me what part they did any work because because it was pretty much non-existent. And I think that is reflected now in the education system, where again you're seeing 70%, nearly 70% of people fail mathematics at CSEC year after
Mhm.
year after year. But you
Mhm.
know what? That's what used to happen before 2015. Nearly 70% of people used to fail mathematics every single year. When it improved when the coalition came to office, and when you saw maths pass rates move up near to the 50% level, as opposed to being wallowing in these terrible doldrums for so long. Now,
Mhm.
that says that the quality of governance that you get on the APNU, the quality of governance is so much better. So
Mhm.
much better. And
And
the fact, just to close, the fact that they're spending so much more money than we spent and producing worse results just comes to show. You would have thought at least they could maintain the results as they're spending money,
And,
but no, it's
and
getting worse.
Elson, they have the audacity to ask, where are we going to get all of this money to provide for all of these programs? And I think you just answered it. They're spending, we have done the research, and we have seen that under the PPP government, 50% of every dollar in our communities and in our economy is wasted. That's 50% of every dollar. Now, imagine if we're able to save 50% of every dollar. Forget for 1 second, well, I mean, you can't forget about our manifesto because it's so impactful, but for 1 second, just think about if we didn't have this manifesto and the PVP was not wasting our money. When you check the records and you look at the budgets and all of these things are passed, they announced 1 point something trillion dollars. the biggest budget in history. I had persons from all over the Caribbean and all over the world messaging me and asking me, boy, how y'all government doing so good? We want to know what y'all doing. And look at it. You drive through some of these communities, you go into some of these areas, you see the quality of life that our people are living, and then you have to ask yourself, where is this $1.3 trillion going?
So Ian, what you're trying to tell me is that $1.3 trillion, half of that is going to waste.
Half of that is being, and but well, you see, it depends on who you're asking. Because if you ask the family, the friends, and the favorites, they will tell you
Right,
that the
right.
economy is boosting, hotels are going up, more jobs are being created, and we know the narrative and the rhetoric of them.
Right.
But the people of Guyana, and I want to stress on this point, the people of Guyana, you have heard, you have seen, and you have felt how hard this economy is. The other night, last night, I just went out to get a little bit of food, purchase a snack, and my bill was close to like $4,000, $5,000, and I just had like a two-piece, you understand, a little sandwich, and I think I bought it some snack or something, just to munch on, because we on the campaign trail, you're moving from place to place, and my bill was close to $5,000, and I'm there like, how are people surviving? The other morning, I went to a very popular breakfast spot in Josh. I'm not gonna call the name, but everybody knows. I think some people call it Exxon Mobil Cafe or something to that effect. But people know that I went to this place and all I purchased was some plantain, right, a croissant and a little cappuccino. Just to head out because we had a training at GCOM for discipline service votes, which was yesterday, and I just bought those three items and I'm paying close to 5,000 or something dollars. And it's like, it's crazy. You understand? You could imagine the persons who are out there who are struggling to survive. Imagine how they are being affected. And that is what we are promising. Well, I don't like to use the word promise, but that's what we are committed to doing for the Guyanese people. We are committing to the Guyanese people that we are going to ensure that we reduce the cost of living, and simultaneously, we are going to do specific and impactful things into the society and into the economy of Guyana to ensure that not because the money that you're spending is reduced, but now that you have a better life, you're going to have more access to resources, you're going to have better access to education. And in a closing point, I see Rivaldo turned the manifesto to our good governance in action. We plan to ensure that there's proper inclusion. So when we take office, we're going to ensure that the opposition have their places on the state boards because it's about a democracy. And while we may represent the majority of the electorate this time around, we still want to ensure that everybody, because it's not one Guyana, it is your Guyana, it is our Guyana, and it is the Guyana where we are putting people first. And that is the plan, that is our motive, and that is what we intend to do come September 1st. And the only thing we would need is your support, Guyana. We need you to come out to the polling stations. We need you to ask harder questions. We need you to hold us to the fire and keep us accountable because we cannot do this by ourselves. We require everybody working in tandem. And as the functionalist theory says, it requires everybody to do their part. So from the smallest person who is a cleaner to the highest person who is a CEO, we need every single Guyanese to come and do your part because it is not a one Guyana, it is your Guyana, it is our Guyana under a putting people first government. And I'll give Elson and Selena an opportunity, or well, Elson, an opportunity to give their closing remarks. Rivaldo give his closing remarks, and then we'll head out.
Well, I think you touch on a really critical issue there, which is the cost of living crisis. And what I want to remind Guyanese of, even as we talk about all these different topics, is that you've been living through a severe cost of living crisis. While the government has spent all of this money and not provided you relief between last year and this year, that is 10 years worth of pre-oil budget. 10 years worth of budget. That's what has been spent. And over the course of the 5 years, something along the line of 30 years worth of pre-oil budgets have been spent. Now, if this government can spend 30 years worth of budgets in 5 years and you still not see the benefit of it, are you ever going to see the benefit of it? Are you ever going to succeed under the PUP? Are you ever going to have a comfortable lifestyle under the PUP? Because they already spent is the equivalent of spending, I mean, nearly as long as being alive. The people on this show have been alive. They spent all the money, all that money, in a couple of years, and still. So to me, that just goes to show the values of the PvP, the extent to which they don't care about ordinary people, and as a consequence, that putting them back in office is totally, to me, the wrong step for the country. Rather, the APNU has a manifesto that demonstrates that it cares, demonstrates it has put in a lot of thought, has had young people's inclusion, myself being fully included in that manifesto. And as
Mhm.
a result, we will ensure that your lives are transformed. So that's why you should vote for it.
Thank you so much, Sir Rivaldo.
And I share the same sentiments with us. I want to ask the Guyanese population, have you seen 10, 15, 20 years of development that is equivalent to the amount of spending that this government has done over the 5 years? I personally, I don't see it, and I think it is a lack of disengagement. It is a lack of good governance. It is a lack of all the good things that are necessary to execute in order for everyone in Guyana to benefit. And I say that because, good governance has not been a part of this current government. They have seriously failed the Guyanese people, and they have done that through corruption and illicit businesses for their friends, families, and favorites. And that is why we are feeling the impact as a country because of their neglect.
I see, and in closing, I see somebody in the comment section saying that Guyana has experienced a mass development over the last 5 years, and if you can't see it, you're either blind or simply stupid. I don't usually respond to comments, but I think it would be
Didan,
for me
Didan,
to.
ask him if he had blackout this week.
Call me Ray Charles then because
No, no,
Ask
but
him if he
I,
had blackout in the last
I,
two.
wa- I want to. I just want to address this in closing. The reality is the reality is that Guyana is such a great nation with so much resources that we are going to develop regardless of who is in power. Now, if that is the baseline we're functioning from, we now need to be able to assess the quality of that development. And a hotel here, a little new business here, a new enterprise and a commerce here in a country that is dubbed the fastest growing economy, where 75% increase on agriculture that we produce when we have to import chicken, when we have farms all across the Guyana, where we have millions and millions of acres in land, and we are fighting to pay close to $1,200 to a tray of eggs. I don't know what development that
and
person is talking
then they
about.
speak of development, but is it any real development when the human resource of your country is not being developed? That is my
Exactly.
question.
And there's no other better way to say it. So for the persons who are laboring under the impression that the PPP has grown Guyana, Guyana has been growing and it will continue to grow. But you have to ask yourself, what is the quality of life that we have been living with under this current
Are you
administration?
growing?
Do you feel happy with the prices and the cost of living? Do you feel happy with the fact that you don't get value for your money? Do you feel happy, as Elsa noted, that we are the fastest growing economy with top guy Dubai, and we still have constant blackout where you have persons complaining every day about the color of their water? You understand? These are at the basic level. Roads and those things is not anything to make a noise about, because where else we can drive? We are moving from series to series. We were at PA something, PAB the other day. We're now at PAF, PAE, and we're at PAL now. Look at that. And we're heading. So it's clear that the economy is moving, but it seems that it is only growing for a certain set of people. But you know what? Have no fear, Guyana. come September 1st, we as Guyanese will ensure that we don't see that again. And this will be the last that the PPP will be able to take advantage of us as the people and then take advantage of our country.
Because for Guyana to grow,
The
the PPP
PPP
must
must
go.
go. And that's all the time we have. So thank you so much, our listeners, for joining and watching with us. We're going to be heading to Barbies almost immediately. I have to, me and Rivaldo, we're going to be rushing up. I think Elson is there. I see Selena's already on the road. You saw Kibwe earlier. So we don't move, but we find time to do what we need to do.
We already hyped them up. Now we gotta go hype up.
Now we
Hopetown.
gotta go and hype up Hopetown. So while we head off to Hopetown, feel free to join us on the live. It's gonna be streaming APNU Coalition, APNU Guyana, credible sources, People National Congress Forum. They're gonna be on all the pages. So feel free to join us. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you, Elson. Thank you, Selena. Thank you, Kibwe. And more importantly, thank you, Uncle Mark, for allowing the more handsome younger persons to get the opportunity to run this platform. We love you, Guyana. Don't forget September 1st. You got to palm it off. Goodbye.